Hello, everybody. Welcome to LF333. My name is Angel. Today's topic is going to be making your practice into a ritual. Now, this is important because this is a part of the journey that we're all taking. Okay? Again, for people who have life altering and life changing conditions, this is crucial. Okay? First thing we're going to talk about is how the Japanese have developed this philosophical concept where everything has meaning. Okay, and how we're gonna apply it to practice is simply treat it as though it is an art or as a ritual. Sorry for that. As a ritual. So let's say we'll take going to work out as an example. I know it's going to sound a little tedious, but unfortunately that's what practice is. Practice is, it's mundane, it's monotonous, and it's tedious, meaning it's boring, okay? But that's what makes you into a better person, okay? So what do I mean by everything has meaning and how you turn that into a ritual? Well, let's say you have to get ready to go work out. Or, yeah, let's say that. So you have to put on proper shoes. You got to put on proper clothes. You got to get the right stuff for yourself. Like if you're going to get water before you go over there, or you're going to get water while you're over there, you kind of have to give it some kind of, how do we say, intention. Now, I know that sounds overwhelming and a little bit too serious, but I think if you're someone who has a long-term goal or a mid-term goal, you have this is crucial. Why? Because that's usually what kills the journey before it even gets to the proper place where you start seeing results. Now, obviously this is philosophical talk, so this is more of a mental aspect of training, okay? You have to put this in your mind that you're transforming something boring into something meaningful, so that it's not taxing on the mind. Because sometimes doing something over and over and over again, it's mentally taxing. You understand? Just like eating the same thing all the time. Eventually, one or two things happen. Eventually, you'll develop a distaste for the food, or you'll just not taste the food anymore, and you'll just put in your mind that it's just substance that you're eating. Okay. The second part to that is a term that's called, sorry if I butcher it, I don't know Japanese. For those of you who do know Japanese or Japanese themselves, it's called kodawari. Okay, kodawari. And that basically means dedicating yourself to your craft, all right? And when it comes to us dealing with our journey as far as our conditions, we are forced to do that. You can't, we've talked about it before, you can't just ignore it or, how do I say it, minimize it. Because those will have serious repercussions on our lives, okay? I know because I went through it. There were times where, like, when I lost my kidneys, I thought, oh, I could have some of this and it won't bother me. And then maybe at the moment, maybe a few hours, nothing happens and I get a little overconfident, or I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I'll just wait next week or something like that. And then immediately the next day or like a few days from now, I feel it, and it's unforgiving. It's harsh. You understand? And we have to take it seriously, okay? And we have to dedicate ourselves to that new way of life, whether it was our fault or not, okay? The other thing is, when you start to accept that this is your new life and you're going to make it into a craft, you have to also apply the other Japanese concept, which is called Kaizen, which is pursuing continuous improvements, okay? And that's what you want. You want to continuously improve on that, all right? Let's say you do develop a kind of a system that works, but there are some kinks. You have to kind of smooth those kinks out. Why? Because you don't want it to be a big block of time that takes away from your actual life that you want to live. You understand? So that's why you have to treat it like a craft that you're constantly improving it on, because it's going to take a good chunk of your time every day. So try to make it as effective and as efficient as possible, so that max it probably takes like 2 or 3 hours of your day for you to just take care of that right off the bat, and then you can continue living your life the way you desire it. Okay? The second thing, when it comes to training, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, this is another thing that I've also adopted from, I don't know if you guys seen it. It's a film from Netflix called the Life. I'm not sure if I remember the name of the film correctly, but The Life and Struggles of Stanislav Shukowski. All right, he says something that I really resonated with, and I believe that this is something we also have to take into consideration, which is you have to kind of pray, or pay it respect to this new thing that you're doing. Okay? Why? Because at this point in your life, whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're religious or not, you're gonna have to give it some kind of clear intention that you're doing all of this to make yourself better. All right? You can't avoid it anymore. You have to do it. All right? So you kind of pray to it, or I don't know, maybe give it a little slight respect that you're going into this with the thought of like, I'm getting stronger, or whatever is it that you're truly shooting for when you're going into it, okay? Because then you have a strong reason to continue when it starts to get tough, all right? That's ultimately why I'm bringing that concept into this video, is that your reason, again, and everybody knows that once the training or the practice or anything gets difficult or gets boring, you have to remind yourself why you're doing it. Okay? That's very important, because if the reason is not strong enough, you're gonna not want to do it, which is bad because you already know what the other road leads to. For those of you who have procrastinated, for those of you who have put off things, or for those of you who had just given up but don't want to call it giving up. You understand? Okay. And the last thing, I've already mentioned it throughout the last one, which is paying respect and practicing with intention. Okay? Always go into every one of the aspects that we're doing our best to push onto the audience, which is physical training, mental training, and spiritual or emotional training. Okay? You have to give it intention. You have to make it clear why you're doing this, whether it be for yourself, whether it to be have a stronger grasp on your world, whether to be there for your family, whether to have a better life. This all has to be clear, okay? Because training without an intention, training without a clear goal, it leads to that saying where if you plan to fail, what was it? If you plan to fail, be prepared to fail, I think it is. I don't know what it is. I'll have to look it up. Fail to plan. I better look it up right now, excuse me. It's fail to plan, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right. So you always have to have a plan. There has to be an end goal to it. All right. But not just the end goal, you also have to enjoy the process, which is why I'm bringing these three things, which is why this video is about making practice into a ritual. You have to enjoy the process, because the process is really the stepping stones to you getting to the end goal. All right. It's, for me, I learned it's not about getting to the end goal. Every person that's ever been great knows that it's not about the end goal, because eventually when you get there, it dies there. It has to go beyond that. You understand? So where it begins is training. The training has to be fun, has to be somewhat enjoyable, and that's why the intention and the meaning behind it is so important. You understand? Because what you're going to mostly be doing is training, is practicing. And so that has to be enjoyable, and that has to be constantly improved on. Obviously, it's not going to be day to day, but you want to improve on it every time you believe you've mastered a certain aspect of the practice. You understand? This is crucial, because that will help you succeed much faster. And in most cases, if you got that down, you'll surpass your goal and you won't even realize it. You'll be way beyond it, because you put in that work. And that's far more rewarding than you actually reaching the goal that you actually wanted, because it could be a little bit underwhelming. You understand? If you only shoot for the goal. Because then what? For people like us, it doesn't end there. You understand? Because the conditions are how do I say, some of them are permanent. They're lifelong. And you all know it's unforgiving. It won't stop. The moment that you slack off, the moment that you think you could rest, it's there. It's waiting for you to slip up. And you just have to let it know that you trained so far ahead that it is going to take a while for it to try to get at you. That's what you ultimately want. So you could be like, all right, today I can afford myself maybe a day, maybe a few hours of rest, because I'm strong enough to do it. And maybe you do have, an off day, but you've gotten so strong that it doesn't bother you as much as it would have. You understand? You could still feel it, but you're still able to carry on the day as if it was like a scratch. You understand? Like, oh yeah, it's there, whatever, just leave it. It'll heal. So yes, dedicate yourself to your training, and make it into a ritual. Respect it, and give yourself a clear intention as to why, and then make it clear your reasons as to why you're doing it, so that when you start to feel like it's getting too strong, when you believe that you're just pushing yourself and you don't know why, because it's so difficult, you look at yourself within your mind and you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. All right? And that should help you pull out those last few attempts or efforts. You understand? Anyways, that's it for today. My name is Angel. Thank you for watching Lupus Fitness 333 Philosophical Talks number 20. This is making practice into a ritual. Please like and subscribe. Please help me reach 30 likes in this video, and please send this video to whoever you believe will benefit off of this. Thank you. Bye.